It's the When Fishing Podcast. Applying techniques.
Then I put the C rigs on the A rigs.
Bringing fresh ideas.
They can't all be good ones.
Talking stories. Reports.
About 5 knots out of the wind.
Conservation.
You're probably too close.
All to make you and I better fishermen. Heyo! Welcome to another episode. My name's Jeremy. This is the When Fishing Podcast. Got some catching up to do with reports. It's a pretty garbage week for fishing with the local winds. We got like a west or northwest wind coming through and just kind of fucking everything up. So I get to sit around, or I get to work, or I get to do all the things that I just mentioned. Porque no los toros. I got 3 reports for you. If I can get my sound right. I sound super just up in my 200 dBs. I think I'm okay now. I'll deal with it. First one was okay. Yeah. So first one was I wanted to go deep drop for blackgill rockfish and black cod sablefish, and as soon as I got out, the wind picked up, and it was like wind picking up at 7:30 in the morning. Not normal, but I guess it's a thing at this time of year. So wind picked up. That's a no-go for trying to drop down into 900 to 1,200 feet. So bailed on that idea. Tried fishing in like 500 foot in like a relatively new spot, and that just picked me up a couple of dabs, and that's no good. So moved into 300 foot. And I wanted to try and focus up on lingcod, because the previous trip while rock fishing, I picked off a Boccaccio that had some rakes on its tail. I didn't feel it from the bite or during the fight, but it was definitely a thing. So I was like, okay, there's definitely some big lings around here willing to play with a Boccaccio of that size, so let's go looking for it. So I thawed out a chili pepper that was a little bit smaller than that Boccaccio, and I went out there and didn't catch anything on that. Put down a little tiny piece of squid. And normally the little pieces of squid in this zone haven't really done much more than get me like super dink rockfish or sand dabs. But that day it was getting me like keeper size rockfish, and I really wasn't even in the mood or market for it. I've got plenty in the freezer. So I was just trying to like catch, bag like one lingcod, then move into shallower water basically. But started catching like nice sized Boccaccio on the just tiny piece of squid. So once I caught like a dink, I sent that down looking for the lingcod, and I spent like a good hour or more drifting for that and didn't get jack shit. So I had too much meat on board and no lingcod, so I decided to just bail on that shit and went in shallower. And then what did I do from there? Oh yeah, yep. So then went in shallow, caught a whitefish, and then it was a double squid dropper loop, and got a whitefish and a mackerel on the first drop. So I was like, okay, like, the whitefish are biting, that's cool, but I got a mackerel, and I haven't seen a lot of those yet. So I stuck it onto a big ass hook and started drifting that. Got a big bite, and I'm hoping for my first legal halibut sooner than later, and came off. It felt like a big bass, but I still wanted to see what would bite a whole live mackerel. So then I caught another one, caught another mackerel, sent it back down, picked off like a 5-6 pound sand bass, so that was fucking cool. So that's a new PB for me. Congrats, Jeremy. Thank you. And yeah, so I picked off like for that day, I got 4 pisons, 3 whitefish, 2 chilies, 1 red, 1 speck, 1 square bear, 1 sand bass, 1 dab, 10 mackerel, and a sardine in a sabiki. So that was a cool day. Although no deep dropping is planned. I don't want to keep falling back on the inshore stuff. I want to challenge myself. It makes for better podcasting. So moving on to the next one. Yeah, I did just about the same shit. About a couple days later, the wind looked a little bit better for the morning, so I got out there. I was able to deep drop. I made 2 deep drops, one in 1,000 foot, one in 900 foot. Each one was about a 20, 30-minute soak. Didn't get jack shit. Didn't get a bite. Didn't get nothing. Moved over, tried to break the skunk in 300 foot, sent down a squid tentacle, and then like a little ollie tentacle on like a number 10 hook. I like that. I like the species gathering. And then a small strip of squid on like a standard number 4 circle above it, and then got 2 sand dabs. Yay. But one of them was a speckled sand dab. Yay. So that was different. It looks more granular in coloration. So it's kind of a prettier sand dab. If you follow me on Instagram, you see it. So yeah. And then I moved in shallower because I didn't want to catch any more rockfish. So moved in shallow and was just trying to burn off the squid that I brought because the wind was a little bit. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I decided no moss on the deep drops after reeling in like 1,900 feet combined. I didn't want to do a third one, so moved in shallow, burned off the squid that I had. I wanted to look for mackerel and go looking for halibut and threshers, but I wanted to burn off the squid because squid's so goddamn expensive around here. So I ended up picking up a fantail sole. You know what that is? It's a sole and it's got a fantail. So that's a pretty cool one. That's a new species. Congratulations, Jeremy. Thank you. And a few sand bass and some whitefish, and then kind of zigzagged through the flats looking for bait on the surface or some kind of action worth stopping on, and I didn't see anything, so I went home. Then a few days later, I focused up, challenged myself, went looking for the halibut and the threshers. Immediately out of the gates was trolling a sabiki and then trolling a swim bait. And then I got my skunk off with the sand bass on the swim bait. No bait near the harbor. Kept moving. No bait further away from the harbor. Kept moving. Stopped at my sand bass spot and picked off like 4 or 5. Kept moving. Finally found some bait. Finally found a suicidal mackerel. There was like super scattered bait. It wasn't on the surface. I didn't see anything on the surface, but I just pulled up into an area. I saw some scattered terns that were like kind of passive aggressively just hanging around. So I just idled around looking for schools on the fish finder, and I found them. There were quite a few. So I just kind of do guerrilla battle tactics and sent down a sabiki on them on the schools, and was able to pull off a mackerel to start. Threw it on my thresher trolling rig. Oh, on a Bait-O-Matic. I sent it down on a Bait-O-Matic, and then I kept looking for more mackerel, and I couldn't really find any. Dragged that one around for like an hour or so, and it was very well dead. But it still kind of like rolls like in a lifelike way on the Bait-O-Matic, or if you put it behind a lead head, which I did later in the day. Whether the lead head's hook will hold up to a thresher is another story, but it won't. But yeah, then I checked out a little bass rock. I've only like hit once, but I'd never trolled over it, so I trolled over it, and I got slammed by like all the bass that I caught. I caught like 4 bass off of it, and they were in like they were short to like 3 pounds or so, and they all fought like twice their size, so that was really cool. And no threshers over there, no bait, no halibut. Started making my way back. Continued to locate some bait schools. Nothing on the surface. Turns, just an occasional turn, kind of spying and diving. Nothing crazy. Some dolphins around. And yeah, so no halibut, no threshers. Then gave up on that on the way home. Stopped on the sand bass spot again. Cleaned up. Finished the day at 20 bass and went home. And so that was the reports for the day. Good, pretty good, consistent inshore fishing. If you want it, it's there. The bigger game stuff continues to elude me. It's how it be like. So, yep. Next up, I picked off a big ass marlin lure like a month or two ago off eBay. It's the Mag Bay Mamacita. It's a 16-inch slant head trolling lure, and it's fucking awesome. So I went to Charkbait Shot At yesterday and picked up some 400-pound mono and some crimps. Decided to rig it up, see how I liked it. I watched a couple videos on people how they rig their trolling lures. I've been doing stupid things where I just put the leader through and then tie the hook on the other side and call it a day, like it's a sliding sinker. And I've learned that might not be the way to go. I mean, for one, you want the hook further back than that. In most cases, with most skirts, you want it like within like an inch of the back of the skirt, and that's not really happening. Although I was able to catch my lone mahi last year doing that, but maybe I would have caught more if maybe I was missing bites and I didn't even know it because I wasn't rigging it right. So I'm rigging it right this year. So what I'm doing is on this one, I saw one guy, I think he's in Hawaii. He put the crimp on. He did a Flemish knot. It looks almost like an overhand, where like you kind of like make a twisted loop. You have the hook inside of that twisted loop or swivel, and then you crimp the crimp. So I played with that idea, and I put a split ring inside of that twisted loop, and then I put a swivel onto the split ring, so I can exchange swivels as they corrode without having to cut the line. And then I added, like, I don't know, some hook that comes onto the. I cut off the hooks that come on the Yo-Zuri Bonita. They're insanely thick hooks, and I didn't really like them for the bluefin. I'd rather put on like double hooks and treble hooks and stuff like that rather than these big, thick, not necessarily super sharp hooks. But with this, it's going to be marlin or bust. So I figure put the biggest hook I have on there, sharpen it up a little bit, and let it rip. So the way that I've got it, it's got the crimp, and then it's got the twisted Flemish knot thing, and then it's got the split ring, and then it's got the swivel, and then it's it's a Hawaiian clip. I forget what it's called. It's like I don't know, but like all you got to do is, I don't know. You'll have to look it up. Like Hawaiian, what's snap? Like the Hawaiian snap swivel. It's really simple to clip and unclip. You don't really like. I feel like snap swivels generally like they might require pliers because they're either thin gauge and kind of cut into your fingers as you're trying to open them, or they're so big that you really need pliers. So I like these. I got them in a used tackle box earlier this year, and playing with them. I strength tested them. They're at least they they don't bend out anywhere. They don't get anywhere near bending out at like 50 pounds. So I think I'll be okay. I'm gonna keep the drag set to like 10 pounds or something with striped marlin, because seems to be a thing that if you have lighter drag with striped marlin, they stay up more the top, more on the surface. And if you put on heavier drag on them, then they'll dig down and then they'll dog you, and the fight will last way longer. So I want to keep them up. I think it'll be easier on me, right? So, yeah. So that's the idea there, and it fits in that what is that, like a 13-inch skirt or something like that. It goes all the way to the back pretty nicely the way that I had it set up. A lot of gear back there, but it works out. So, yeah, and I guess hooks benefit in trolling lures to have a swivel behind the head, like on the hook side, so that the hook can twist and right itself as it's swimming, because it'll naturally track straight up and down if given the opportunity, i.e. with swivels. So that's what I'm gonna play with this summer, rather than just tying direct to the hook like an asshole, like a lazy fucking asshole. So that's some rigging. That's the rigging station. So I'm not gonna have the game plan this week, because just the wind and there's just a really big wind swell out here that's just not worth even talking about. It's like 4 to 5 foot at like 6 seconds all week, and then there's like 10 to 20 mile an hour winds for the most part. So you're not getting out on boat. I might actually Corbina fish in the mornings, the next couple mornings. It's like a 7:30 a.m., 8 a.m. low tide. As long as I beat the crowd there, then I think it'd be worth taking a look. Water should be warm enough. Gray skies, so I don't know if that helps or not. I think so. So that's pretty much all the ideas for the game plan. But in general, I do want to challenge myself a little bit more. I tried recording this podcast a couple days ago, and I was like kind of just annoyed with myself for like going through the same like inshore bass and rockfish reports, where it's like, this is just the same shit as the week before and the week before. So like I want to talk about something new. I want to tell you more than just how I did. I want to tell you what I learned. I want to challenge, so I got to challenge myself like constantly. So I was like honing in the bass, and like, before this winter, I was really not very confident with my bass fishing out here, and now I'm very confident in it. So mission accomplished. Move on to the next thing. I still have no confidence in threshers and halibut, but I feel like if you really wanted to, I bet you could like really hone it in with those two. So I'm gonna try to do that, and like, maybe just like break the skunk over like some bass here or there, but like no reason to run up my numbers up to 20 or whatever. Like just break the skunk, just catch like one, shouldn't be too hard, and then move on to the halibut and threshers, looking for mackerel, all that shit. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong with the halibut and threshers. Seems like whenever I come up on bait, there's nothing chasing them. No like threshers or anything like that. Like schooling them up and scaring them around. I've only seen one thresher in person that was like working on the surface. It was I was very surprised to see it. It was like last like October, I believe, and I didn't see the bait that was around it, but it was like splashing its tail around, and I like, it's like, what the hell is that? It looks like a bill of a billfish in like 30 feet of water. And then I realized like, no, it's a thresher. And so I threw a Zara spook at it and nothing happened. Who would have thought? Actually, I would think like a topwater lure like that would get them to react. But then the next question is, are you going to land them on that? Like, are you going to get tail hooked on like 1X trebles? Are the hooks going to stick at all? Are you going to kill it by dragging it from its tail? Do you want to do that? Do you want to try and get it by the mouth like a gamesman? In which case, you know, you might want to focus more with like circle hooks. So that's kind of what I'd rather do. I was given this, I bought some shark rigs. I bought a combination of like trolling rigs and lures off this guy off of Bloody Decks several months ago. And there's a handful of Rapala Magnums, and then there was some shark rigs, like but one in particular that I'm meaning to talk about right now is it's like a bird up front, like a bird head, so it's, you know, going to splash, and then it's got like, I don't know, 300-pound cable or something like that rigged up on it, and then it's got a single hook like a foot behind the bird head, and it's got a little it's got a skirt to the in the bird, and then then there's like a 10-aught hook, like J hook, like a 7691 per se, and then another like foot behind that is like a big ass treble, like a 6-aught treble. And so the idea behind that rig was that you're like making the commotion, you're slow trolling that, and then the thresher comes around, just bats it, and as it bats the rig with its tail, that that treble is just gonna like lasso it basically. So if I get really desperate, that's available to me. I think that's legal. And if you're gonna troll a Rapala Magnum for him, you're probably gonna hook him in the tail anyways. So like, if you're, you know, that's a thing. So the only real fair way to hook them would probably be to pay close attention to the rod tip with a live mackerel or a butterflied mackerel behind the boat or drifting it. And, you know, it bats it, you see the bump, and then you let it into free spool it, let the mackerel like fall down as it's like stunned, and then the thresher comes and cleans up. So, you know, that's the way the news goes with that. So will I be able to do that this summer? We'll see. Right now, I really don't want to drive very far at all to launch at other harbors. So I'm really not. I haven't seen the opportunity to fish for bluefin yet from my own boat, which I'd give myself like a 20-mile range, and so I'm feeling like, okay, well, if they're gonna be like that, if the offshore game is gonna be like that for however long, then I have a lot more time to focus this summer on thresher fishing and halibut fishing. I really want to hone those in, and then if I get my shots with offshore, great, and I think I will. I'm sure I will. It happens every year. The bluefin come in tight, so I've got some ideas for that. I just bought a couple Yo-Zuri high speed vibes or something. It's like a Yo-Zuri, but it's a high speed trolling lure, like a Mad Mac or the Yo-Zuri Bonita or the Max Stick from Savage Gear. This one's like 5 inches and change, so it's even smaller. It'll troll up to 15 knots, and so I got a pair of them for a deal on eBay. So I'm gonna troll those behind the boat, like inshore, whenever I'm going anywhere, I think, and see if I can hook up to anything doing that. It's ridiculous, but it's no effort. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see about it. It's an idea. Okay. So I will be doing a webinar with the folks from the Windy app sometime sort of soon, and so I'll see if I can post some audio from that into this podcast. And also, what I learned while working with them is that they launched another app called Wind Hub, and it's got some cool features. It looks a lot like the Windy app. It has similar tools. On one hand it's simpler. On the other hand, it has a couple extra features that are really nice. For one, it has this tool where you can draw your navigation, the loop that you're going to make while you're out offshore or when you go fishing, and you can put in like how fast your boat goes. So then like it can tell you like, okay, you're launching at 6 a.m. You're going 10 knots for like 10 miles south, and then you go out west for an hour, and then you come back to the dock, and it'll tell you based on the waypoints that you plugged in and the time that you plugged in, how the weather is going to be for the whole loop, which is super cool. So it'll instead of like looking into the weather is going to be a little bit different in different parts of, like, at least where I'm at, around like the Catalina Channel. It'll be like there will be a lot more current in the middle of the channel. There will be like a lot of wind, like closer to San Pedro. There will be sometimes less wind in the middle of the channel, or like certain parts of the channel than others. And then there's like more wind behind the islands, and so it'll tell you what the weather's going to be for the entire time based on the waypoints. So I think that's super cool. Had a couple other things to it that it shows what do you call it? The contours. The map where you can you just like click anywhere instead of having buoys that you have to rely on, like, well, I'm not going to that buoy, but I'll be within 5 miles of that buoy, so let's click on that one and see like how the weather's going to be. This one, it doesn't even have any of those. It doesn't have any buoys. You just click anywhere on the map, and then it'll tell you the estimated weather for that area. How accurate that is without like a specific buoy to tell you what's going on is to be determined based on my experience and so many others' experience. But I think that's really nice, and it's easy to figure out exactly where on the map you are on this one because it has contours. So you can be like, oh, I'm going to go out to like the 300-foot contour, or I can see like that canyon that I'm next to in general. So I can click right there and see exactly what the weather will be. And, I intend on fishing like, this side of the 14. So let's click on that spot and figure out what's going on there. And then take a quick look on the other side to see how different it might be. It's like, oh, it's, at least that particular spot would be pretty uniform between the two of them, but like other areas it might be different. But yeah, so it has like a contour map. It has those it can tell you the weather based on like your loop for the day. Had some other stuff too. I forgot what the other things were, but it's really cool. You should check it out. Wind Hub. So yeah, there's that. I don't think I have anything more to say. So if you decide to go out, the Yellowtail Shootout by Bloody Decks is it should be postponed. We'll see. Actually, there's a thread on that right now, but that might be this weekend. Is that still going? All right. Well, They haven't said anything about canceling it. So if you do decide to go boating in the next week or so, good luck to you. Stay safe. I might hit the shore, and I'm only gonna hit the shore because it's gonna be like, I'm gonna be fishing low tide for Corbina. So I'll be fishing like so far inside of the breakers that the size of the breakers won't really matter, and it's going to be like a short period, so it's not going to be like a crazy like long period that's going to like flood the inside constantly. So it should be a nice consistent inside at low tide, I'm hoping for. So that's pretty much the only way, besides fishing like behind jetties or inside harbors or whatever, would be really fishable for the foreseeable future. But once it calms down, I'm looking to get offshore. Maybe we'll see. Let's see what's going on. But whatever you decide to do for the next week or so, good luck out there and be safe. And you have a good rest of your week.